Well, billed as a big table-topping clash, it ended up being a very comfortable victory for Rajasthan Royals. 50s from Ajinkya Rahane and Shane Watson helped Rajasthan win their fifth straight game of IPL 8. Chasing a modest total of 157, Rajasthan had little difficulties and chased under target with 8 wickets in hand. Earlier in the day, after electing to bat first, Brendan McCullum started off the innings well for Chennai but was removed soon after by Tambe. Chennai lost 3 important wickets with just 39 runs on board, with Raina and Duplessis also being dismissed. Smith's 40-run innings was cut short by Faulkner. Bravo scored his maiden IPL half-century as Chennai recovered from 65 for 4 to post 156 for 4 in their 20 overs. Well, it was being built up as a big clash. Would have expected more from it, Nikhil, but Rajasthan completely dominated the game and won it pretty comfortably. They will be disappointed, though. They would have wanted to win it by 10 wickets.
Well, they were on the card. It was. Had Watson carried on and Rahane, and Smith carried on maybe a 9-wicket victory, but they were outplayed. Make no mistake. I guess that initial wicket of Brendan McCullum and then, Smith getting out in those 40s, they just kept losing wickets at regular intervals. They couldn't get the momentum that they were looking for. A side which has a reputation of having, match winners in their ranks to set up a total like they've been doing in the past. Chennai, Mahendra Singh Dhoni always winning the toss, wanting to set up a total, losing wickets. 155 on that wicket, Radhika, was never going to be good enough.
Well, it's never going to be good enough. Dada, we were speaking about this earlier as well, that if Shane Watson recovers, would he get a place in the side? Who would he replace and would he lead? He did that. He came into the side, he led them and he led them pretty comfortably with a brilliant batting performance as well.
Yeah, he played superbly actually and he hit the ball so hard. Some of the shots he played was breathtaking. But that's the power of Shane Watson, isn't it? And if he gets going, he wins you games. I think this Rajasthan side is on a roll. Steve Smith is in good form, Watson's in good form, Faulkner's in good form. So all their overseas players have done well, and that has allowed Ajinkya Rahane to settle down and play well. You can see Ajinkya Rahane at the top of the order in T20 cricket is a massive force. So they've been in great form, the Royals, 5 wins out of 5. And the way they beat Chennai, who's a very, very strong side, they've just gone past them easily. It was a one-way traffic today. I think this win will give them a lot of confidence, because when you beat such sides like Chennai so convincingly, it really brings the confidence back in any side.
Boria, we will speak about Shane Watson more with you, because he is actually our player of the day as well and he played brilliantly. He will be disappointed though that he did not finish the game for Rajasthan Royals, but then this was his first game back. He performed brilliantly, scored those amazing runs. Boria, please tell us what you have to say about his innings. Coming back from injury, all this talk about him probably not making to the side or not leading. He comes back, he scores really well and a brilliant innings by him.
Absolutely. As Saurav said, when Shane Watson gets going, he will win you games. He's a match winner in every form of the game. Even for Australia, he did not have a great World Cup. He had a reasonable World Cup. But to come back in the manner that he did today and the way he batted. But if you see the initial few overs, Radhika, it was Ajinkya Rahane who was doing the real scoring. At one point in time, Shane Watson was on 17 of about 13 balls and Rahane was around 33, 34. So that also took a lot of pressure away from Shane Watson. Rahane getting off to this very good start and he's just continuing. So that allowed Watson to get into the groove. But thereafter, it was an explosion. From nowhere, he hit those 4, 5, 6s, real big shots all over the park. Ashwin dragging from off stump towards, the onside, hitting those big hits. Shane Watson is a real powerhouse if he gets going. And as Saurav said, this Rajasthan side clearly on a roll with all of their overseas, all Australians, mind you, Shane Watson, Steve Smith, James Faulkner, all of them performing really well. But one point, and please can you ask Saurav this, Mahendra Singh Dhoni, except that one game, is Mahendra Singh Dhoni a declining batsman in one-day international and T20 cricket? Today also 35 balls, 29. Never did that momentum come. Second match he got a 50. But other than that, in this IPL, is he the same force like he was in 2013 or 14?
Boria, we will speak about Dhoni and we will speak about the Chennai batting. But first up, Nikhil, you have to talk about Rahane, because we've been speaking about Shane Watson. He did play really well. But Rahane was the man who stood out there, who took Rajasthan to victory, and he's performed well in sort of all formats of the game. It's not just T20, ODI Test, he's done really well. So talk us through Rahane's innings today. What impressed you most about it? And where did he actually score most of his runs?
Well, I guess, he's a phenomenal batsman. The little dynamite, and you look at his wagon wheel, each time he's looking to just get on the ball because of his height as well, and he plays the short ball really well. That's why you see most of the runs have come either towards mid-wicket or towards the square leg as well. But he also presents the full face of the bat. You know, he's one guy who picks the length of the ball with a great amount of ease, and he's very quick. And that's why his mantra of success, he's been so consistent as well. You know, Dada made a very important point as well that, you know, when Shane Watson's come, he's got amongst runs there. Senior players in the overseas ranks have been doing well. It's allowed Ajinkya Rahane to go out there, play his game, you know, to blossom around. And when you're about 155 and you know the kind of firepower that you have in your ranks as well, you really don't need to throw the kitchen sink right from the word go as well.
So that was a brilliant innings by Rahane. But Dada, we would like to get back to you and ask what Boria was mentioning about Dhoni and how probably he is past his prime. You know, Chennai obviously didn't put up the maximum runs on board, and Mahendra Singh Dhoni, even though he was batting towards the end, he did not seem to have that firepower, and he obviously didn't help Chennai post a very magnificent total out there.
No, I honestly don't think that he is past his best in one-day cricket and T20 cricket. And I'll probably beg to differ with Boria on that. I think he's still a force in these formats. He just goes through periods where he's good and he's suddenly not good again. This was his fourth game, and as Boria said, he's got runs in one. Didn't get an opportunity in the first one. Didn't get to bat against. Rather, I would say he got out against Mumbai, but by the time he went out to bat, the game was over. So I think it's at this moment, it's not. I don't think it's right to actually pass that judgment on Dhoni. I've always believed that in T20 cricket he bats too low down the order. I've said that for last 4 or 5 years, and I firmly believe that he should bat at number 4 in T20 cricket, because under pressure he comes out and gives his best. So I think we'll have to wait for that. I think he's still got abilities in one-day cricket, and hopefully he will come good. This is Chennai's first loss in the IPL. That is going to happen when you play a long tournament. You will have bad games, you will have good games, and I think this was one of Chennai's bad games. But they are a powerhouse. They are a good side. They've got players who can win you games. Look at Dwayne Smith, McCallum, Faf du Plessis, and Suresh Raina, MS Dhoni. Teams which have so much quality, cannot be a poor side. It was just one of the off days for them, and I'm sure they'll come back and play better.
Dadi, do you think Rajasthan is going a step ahead in terms of planning, because you got 14 games, it's summer, resting Saudi, bringing back Watson in the ranks as well? They're just keeping that bench a little warm, also bringing solidity in the side?
Yeah, I think the most important thing, and it is for both teams, both Chennai and Rajasthan over the years, that they have tried to maintain a fixed side. They've tried to keep the nucleus of the side together. Not many teams in the IPL would play a Praveen Thambe at the age of 42. They will say, no, he's old, we need to get rid of him and get a young player. But Rajasthan Royals has showed that adjustment, showed that adaptability, where they have actually backed players just on the basis of ability and not age. Also for them, what is going well is the overseas players performing. Ajinkya Rahane developing into a better player in the last 3 or 4 years. They have invested in Ajinkya Rahane for a period of time, and Ajinkya Rahane has started to deliver for them. So it is a side which has started to get results because of being persistent and because of being consistent with team selection. Because consistent team selection gives security to the players, gives them a platform where they can play freely. Because you must understand that T20 cricket is a platform where you have to keep playing freely. There's no case of leaving a delivery outside the off stump and take time to settle down. So I think it's a result of the processes which they have showed over a period of time, and it's working for them. Although it's still early, in T20 cricket, once you get to the quarters and semis, you have bad days and you're out of it. Even last year, Rajasthan at one stage were cruising into the knockout stages till they got blown away by Corey Anderson at Mumbai. Mumbai Indians lost 6 games in a row last year and then went on to qualify. So it's still early stages, and holding on to the form for the remainder part of the tournament will be key for all sides.
Dada, obviously that is something that Mumbai will be hoping, because they are playing second up today. The second match in IPL 8 today actually features the Royal Challengers Bangalore against Mumbai Indians, and Bangalore have won the toss and they've elected to bowl first, and both teams will be looking for a win. Boria, I'd like to come to you. Mumbai obviously have this great support staff, some of the best players, some of the best people to guide this team, and they have not been able to register a single win. Can Mumbai change that today?
Every day we keep talking about this, and I've said this several times. All the support staff, forget about them. It is ultimately Ricky Ponting and Rohit Sharma's team. Sachin is there as an icon. Anil is there to oversee the whole thing for the group, as in the owners. Jonty Rhodes, Robin Singh, Rahul Sangvi, Shane Bond, there's particular roles, but ultimately it's Ricky Ponting and Rohit Sharma's team. Yes, they've not performed well, and it's not looking the same with now Aaron Finch out of it. Parthiv Patel has a bit of things to do. Rohit Sharma coming down at 4, not giving himself the opportunity at the top of the order. And look at the comparison with Rajasthan. Saurav made a lot of very important points. The one point I want to add there, look at the fact that Rajasthan unearthed local talent. First season Swapnil Asnodkar, this season Deepak Hooda. Why don't we see the same from a Mumbai Indians who have all the money? So that is another difference that you can see with the Rajasthan and a Mumbai Indians. I really want Mumbai Indians to do well, because you want a competitive IPL, you want all of these teams to feature, you want Rohit Sharma to do well, but so far it's just been one-way traffic for them, and that's been negative.
Dada, do you think that can change today? Probably. Bangalore have also lost 1-1-1, but they are not in as bad a situation as Mumbai, who've played 4 matches and lost. So obviously Mumbai will be looking for a win today. They've got players, but somehow they've not performed well.
Yeah, absolutely. They will be looking for a win today, and they haven't performed well, and I don't think they have the enough firepower. Their bowling has struggled. Lasith Malinga has not been the Malinga we've seen over the years. It's not easy to keep turning up and bowling day in, day out for any fast bowler. And he's not the fittest in the world, Lasith Malinga. So I think the form of Lasith Malinga is a worry for the Mumbai Indians. They got 180 in the last game. The batters put up their hands and got a big score at the Wankhede. But the Chennai Super Kings just smashed them out of the game. So the bowlers will have to stand up. The likes of Harbhajan Singh, the likes of Lasith Malinga, the other quicks at the other end. Who have done so well in domestic cricket. The spinners have to do well. Pragyan Oja hasn't been playing for them. He's come out of a different action and hasn't clicked. So their bowling has been a bit of a worry. And they need to find a way out to sort this. And more importantly, they'll have to find a way for Lasith Malinga to perform. Look at that economy rate, 8.8. You don't see that much with Lasith Malinga. He's just got 4 wickets, but he's gone at 8.8 runs per over. And if you look at his overall economy rate, it's just under 6 and over. So there is a massive difference in the effectiveness of Lasith Malinga, and it is showing in their bowling.
We had promised you exciting action from the Formula One race, and the 2015 Formula One season has been anything. Karan, if we talk about the race coming up, the Mercedes have been clearly the favourites, Rosberg's been in good form, so has Hamilton. But if we look at this particular race and the way Nico Rosberg has performed, do you think with the way Hamilton is going, Mercedes will look to keep Rosberg as a buffer for Hamilton to protect his lead, and will Rosberg will he be okay with that position?
Well, there's no question about it. He's in it to win it. But at the moment, he doesn't seem to have an answer for Lewis's speed. And Nico's in a tough situation. He's under pressure. He's been beaten by Lewis, 3 races in a row, and now again in qualifying for the 4th race. Obviously, Lewis has won the World Championship last year, winning a lot more races, especially in the second half of the season. So, Nico's under pressure, and really, he's got, the next 2 or 3 races are really going to define Nico Rosberg in many ways. Either he's going to be the man who was able to come and turn things around and come from behind and beat Lewis, or he's going to be the man who becomes resigned to a number 2 role in a way that we saw happen with Barrichello and Schumacher, or with, we've seen more recently with Massa and Fernando Alonso, or Mark Webber and Vettel. These guys, top-class racing drivers, but it didn't quite happen for them. And then automatically the team starts to gravitate towards one guy, and psychologically the battle has gone towards the number 1 driver. So even though, on paper, they may not be a number 1 or a number 2, the attitude generally may end up going one way.
Well, Karan, we don't obviously expect both drivers from the same team to be the best of friends, but what is happening between Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg is something completely different. What happened in the Chinese Grand Prix when Rosberg actually came out and said that Hamilton tried to sabotage his race is something that we've not been spoken out in public. What do you have to say about that?
They sort of played this argument out in the media, which was a bit silly, really. It was a non-issue. It really it shouldn't have been a controversy. And, I think Nico started it by saying something in the press conference afterwards about Lewis slowing down. But it's Lewis's prerogative. Lewis can drive at whatever speed he wants. He can go as fast or as slow as he wants. He's in the lead of the race. That's his right to do it as the race leader. And if Nico was really that much faster, he should have passed Lewis. So, ultimately, I don't actually think there was a controversy, but it became one because they decided to let their feelings come out, or Nico started it, in the press conference rather than behind closed doors. So, honestly, I don't think it's a big issue because, they've come back to Bahrain and nobody's really concerned about it. And they carried on, and the team management have got involved, talked to both drivers, and they said, okay, yep, we put it behind us, and they move on. I mean, managing drivers is always, a job that the team managers and the team principals take on as part of the challenge of their jobs. And I think Toto Wolff and Paddy Lowe, who run the team, they've managed it okay. At the end of the day, they're still leading the World Championship. They're the reigning world champions, so they must be doing something right.
Current talk is about the Bahrain Grand Prix as well. Obviously, a lot of excitement out there with Sebastian Vettel being able to split those two Mercedes. What do we expect from this race? Will Bahrain be able to give Vettel the sort of conditions that were there in Malaysia? And can he actually overtake the Mercedes of Hamilton?
Well, ultimately, the Ferraris aren't as fast as the two Mercedes cars, in terms of pure speed. But I think, they've got a good trick up their sleeve, which is they manage the tires really well, and they really are very gentle on the tires, so that, they're able to go for much longer in the race without having to change tires, and therefore maintain a across the race, perhaps. So it works at certain tracks, it works at certain temperatures. It didn't work in China, worked superbly in Malaysia. I think Bahrain could be closer to Malaysia. I think we saw on Friday pre-practice that both the Ferraris were very fast on the race simulations, so they could come into play yet again this weekend. And for a change, Kimi's actually qualified up there with the pack. He's struggled in qualifying so far this season, but he's going to be right up there with the pack this time. So the big downside for Ferrari could be the start, because Bahrain being in a desert, there's a lot of dust, and the two Ferraris are starting on the right-hand side of the track, which is where the dust collects. So if they can get away off the line well and not get stuck behind a Williams or something like that, and if they're able to, go with the Mercs at the start of the race, then I think it could be a real cracking race we have later today.
Karun, thank you so much for joining us, and we hope that it will be an exciting race, and let us see if Sebastian Vettel can actually overtake Lewis Hamilton. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of Lights Camera Cricket. Thanks for watching.